Welcome back to another episode of the Eek of the Week. I'm your host, Albert Einstein, but you can call me Owly with an OWL. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. We're getting back into the Dark Files episodes again, where we are going to highlight some American killers. And with that, I need to say that listener discretion is strongly advised. We are touching on very disgusting human beings who have done disgusting acts to other human beings. Lots of violence, lots of, guts and gore type thing. Well, this next guy didn't really get but so gory, however. He's still just a despicable piece of shit, in my opinion. And yes, I'm going to say that about him, and he can rot in prison. It's Chris Watts. I shouldn't have said that so enthusiastically. But yeah, if you are triggered by, I'm pretty sure everybody is familiar with Chris Watts. If you're not, I'm going to tell you all about him. But he is a despicable human being who has done despicable things to not just his wife, but to his children. And he deserves everything that he got, and then some, in my opinion. We're going to get right into it. If you are not, I'm probably repeating myself at this point. There are other more PG rated episodes down below. If you are not into the whole, nitty gritty, R rated stuff, there are more PG rated episodes. And if you're liking all of this stuff, please consider following, giving it a like, a thumbs up, a comment, maybe share it with your friends, because I'm having a lot of fun doing these, and I hope you're having a lot of fun listening along. And if you are, share it with your friends, because the more the merrier. We want everybody to have fun over here in our little corner of Beyonce's internet. See, now I feel like I just said her name, and it's like Beetlejuice, she'll come for me. Or not she herself, but her people. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into it. This is another dark file. So the title is, all right, hello? Okay, here we go. The American Nightmare, Chris Watts, and the family he erased. Let me make sure I'm good. You're listening to The Dark Files, a voice from the abyss of American true crime. Let me pause. I just read all of this and tried to record this exact episode. And in the very beginning of my intro, I said, oh, let me check my mic and my as I should have done that before I press record. But when I went to click on my mic, it actually stopped recording everything. So this is the second time around. So you won't get my genuine reaction to some of the bot's narration or documentary style story, whereas there was genuine reaction from me in the first go round. I'll try and recreate it and try and be as authentic as I can. Not that I'm not authentic. I mean, I'm just out here being me. But I do want to preface that if you kind of notice that I'm not as not shocked, because I already know the story. I already know what happens, if you will. But the way that it's worded, I had some commentary with it. So just a little precursor there. You're listening to The Dark Files, a voice from the abyss of American true crime. What follows is not a cautionary tale. It's not a moral fable. It's a descent into the mind of a man who smiled for the camera while he planned the eradication of his wife, his unborn son, and his two little girls. This is the story of Chris Watts, the monster next door. August 13th, 2018, Frederick, Colorado. Shanann Watts, 34 years old, was reported missing by her friend, Nicole Atkinson. After she missed an OBGYN appointment and wasn't answering texts, Shanann was pregnant, 15 weeks along with a baby boy they had already named Nico. Her two daughters, Bella, age 4, and Celeste, or Cece, age 3, were also unaccounted for. What the police would uncover in the hours and days that followed. Please say this is recording. I think it is. I don't have a timer, though. Forgive me, folks. Okay, we're good to go. What the police would uncover in the hours and days that followed wouldn't just shatter the illusion of suburban safety. It would horrify an entire nation, not because of its mystery, but because of its familiarity. Chris Watts was 33. He worked for Anadarko Petroleum as an operator. By all appearances, he was a quiet, mild-mannered husband and father. Shanann was the loud, bubbly counterpart, active on Facebook, documenting their lives, posting family videos, motivational quotes, and MLM sales pitches for the lifestyle brand Thrive. But underneath the hashtags and happy smiles, something had rotted. Police body cam footage shows Watts acting odd from the start. No panic, no grief, just awkward small talk. He swayed on his feet like he'd just walked off a carnival ride, and his voice never cracked, not once. He let the cops into his house, and as they searched, he volunteered to check the neighbor's security camera footage. It showed Chris backing his truck into the garage in the early hours of the morning, a move his neighbor called strange. Not sure why I said daughter. The next day, Chris gave a teary-eyed plea on the local news, said he just wanted his family back. But the truth had already started to bleed out. Let's rewind 48 hours. Saturday, August 11th. Shanann had just returned from a work trip in Arizona. Her friend Nicole dropped her off around 2 a.m. That would be the last time anyone saw her alive. According to Chris's initial confession, which we now know was one of many lies, Shanann confronted him that morning about an affair. He claimed she said he'd never see the kids again. So, he snapped. He straddled her on the bed. She didn't fight, didn't scream, didn't beg, just went still, according to Chris. But the autopsy told a different story. Shanann fought. Petechial hemorrhaging in her eyes, broken capillaries, marks on her neck, and most telling, she was pregnant, and the fetus was later recovered inside her. That makes this not just triple homicide, but quadruple. Now, here is where the horror shifts from cold-blooded to hellish. After killing Shanann, Chris wrapped her body in a sheet and began dragging her downstairs. At that moment, 4-year-old Bella walked in. She asked, "What's wrong with Mommy?" Chris told her Mommy wasn't feeling well. Then he loaded Shanann's body into the back of his truck and brought his 2 daughters with him, alive, still in their pajamas. It was a 45-minute drive to a remote oil site owned by his company. 45 minutes of silence, or maybe crying, or maybe questions. We'll never know. Here comes the part you won't forget. Chris took Cece, the youngest, first. He smothered her with a blanket in the back seat of the truck. Bella was watching. She knew she was next. According to Chris's own later confession, after Cece's murder, Bella looked at him and said, "Daddy, no. Daddy, don't do it." He did. He choked the life out of her. Bella had bite marks on her tongue. That's how hard she fought. Once it was done, he carried their tiny bodies to the oil tanks. Each tank had a small 8-inch hatch. Chris shoved one body into each. Oil workers later said it would have taken force. The girls' skin had to be scraped, their bones twisted unnaturally to fit. Shanann's body was buried in a shallow grave nearby. The unborn baby, Nico, was found partially expelled from her body due to natural post-mortem processes. A child who never got to take a breath. Back at home, Chris began deleting messages from his phone, especially those between him and his mistress, Nicole Kessinger. Nicole had started dating Chris in June. She later told police he claimed he was in the final stages of a divorce. But she wasn't blind. She Googled Amber Frey, the mistress in the Scott Peterson case, and even searched for wedding dresses just weeks before the murders. When the story broke, she cooperated, turned over her phone, helped police corner him. Chris finally confessed after failing a polygraph. His first confession was watered down. He blamed Shanann for killing the kids, but it didn't hold. Eventually, he admitted everything. The motive? He didn't want to be a father anymore. He didn't want to pay child support. He wanted to start over. So he killed all of them. November 6th, 2018. Chris pled guilty to 5 counts of first-degree murder, 1 for each family member, including the unborn baby. 5 counts. There was only 4. Maybe that's a typo on AI's part. 5 counts. Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. That's 4. Did he kill somebody else? Anyway, comment down below. I'm digressing. 1 for each family member, including the unborn baby, and additional charges for unlawful termination of a pregnancy and tampering with a corpse. He was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. He now rots in Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin, as he should. He reportedly found Jesus. He writes letters to female admirers. There are women, plenty of them, who send him fan mail, nudes, money. This country is sick in more ways than one. That's typed, but I fully agree with that sentiment. In the end, Chris Watts wasn't a monster with horns. He was a quiet man with a soft voice and a weak spine. He didn't kill in a fit of rage. He planned it. He thought about it. He drove with his children, alive in the back seat, knowing what he was about to do. There are no jump scares in this story. No black gloves, no ski masks, just a man in a polo shirt grinning at barbecues. The devil doesn't come in red. Sometimes he wears khakis. This has been The Dark Files. I don't really like this outro, but I'll read it again. Lock your doors, kiss your kids, and remember, monsters don't always hide in the dark. Sometimes they tuck their daughters in at night. Thank you so much for listening along, and let me not muck that up. Thank you so much for listening along, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.